Buju, Wape Anakutu Nakwe Kapit, Nidijanakas, Nigig Dodem, Zagime Anishinabek Nadunjaba. Lisa, I'm nervous too, so. I'd just like to acknowledge the elders in this room. Thank you for your love and your kindness. Thank you, Wayne, for the prayer. And I also give thanks to the powerful Gimiwan and Penesi that came today to cleanse and nourish the land. I'd like to thank my nominator, Gilbert Panapakizik, and seconder, Misty Smoker. And then I'd introduce myself. My name's Sarah Rain. I come from the Rainville family. My chapan was Marvin Rainville and Evelyn Delorme. My cookum was Marlene Bubbles Rainville, and my mother was Sonia McKay, who passed at 30 years old in Vancouver. My chapan delivered babies in Cowasis, and it too is my vision to come deliver life with our nation as well. It's good to be here on Zagime Anishinabek. It's a long drive from Vancouver. I try to come as often as I can. And every time I come to these lands, I feel like when my feet are on the soil, the land embraces me, and I remember that blood memory of where I come from. Recently, I got an inbox from someone, and they said, "I don't know you, you've never shooken our hand." And so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about myself, where I've been and what I want to see. I was born in Vancouver. I was blessed to spend a few hours with my mom and my cookum. My cookum was a nurse in the Vancouver hospital, and she was able to hold me. And that was the only time I was ever held by my cookum. And it was the only time I was held by my mom. I too am a survivor of the 60s scoop. I was apprehended the day I was born. And I lived a life 18 years without connection, without identity, without kinship. And at 18 years old, I was blessed to be able to find my family, thanks to Audrey Rock Thunder, who connected me with my sisters. I was able to find my aunties and my relatives. And I became hungry for knowledge and wisdom and how to reclaim our ways. So I went on this journey. I dealt with a lot of internalized shame, not knowing where I come from, not having that connection. And when I reclaimed my kinship, I went through this journey, and it brought me home. And I remember I reached out to someone, and it was our chief before she was chief. It was 2007 or 8. And this is when I found, 2008 was when I found out where I came from. I came from a little band called Zagime. And thank you, Chief, for guiding me and mentoring me and helping me get my status reinstated. And I remember the first time I came home, I was around 21 years old. I came to Zagime, and I'll never forget that feeling. It was like, I became fulfilled. It was something that I was searching for. And so I carry Zagime in my heart. I've always carried it in my heart. I pray for our community. And this is my second time running for council, so I give thanks for the votes I did receive last time. And I'd just like to share a little bit of my experience. I've had the opportunity to work for national positions, and I've dedicated my work to Indigenous peoples and communities. I've been able to travel across the country from coast to coast, working with youth and elders. I've worked with residential school survivors in the IAP process. I began to learn and carry their stories of survival. I've been able to work for the Native Women's Association of Canada in the environmental unit. And I developed national surveys looking at barriers to disaster preparedness among Indigenous women and gender diverse community members. I became a senior advisor for the Canadian Red Cross for disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. And in that, I worked on national projects. I created a partnership with LEGO, and we did risk mapping with youth. I was able to go to Newfoundland and host talking circles and ask the young people, how does this affect you? How can you prepare for disaster? What does it mean to practice your love for the land? I have experience in research and policy. I was an analyst in Canada's largest Indigenous consulting firm. I managed 4 files and worked primarily with Saulteaux and Cree communities up north in BC and Alberta. I worked on traditional land use studies, mapping, and helped write environmental impact assessments. The most important part of that work was to sit with the old people, to listen to their knowledge, to hear their heart for the land and their concerns for degradation. Stewardship is very important to me. My vision is rooted in love for our nation, as I've been sitting and wondering what was the dream of my mom, my kukum, and chapan. I wondered if they dreamed of opportunity to be able to live their lives as proud Anishinabek people who didn't have to have lack, who were able to reap the benefits of our nation-to-nation relationship. I think they dreamed of education for their children and for legacy. I think they dreamed of adequate housing and avenues to heal, and that dream continues. I carry that dream on. I want to see a student's needs assessment. We need to provide funding from our own source revenue to support our higher learners. When I was in university, at Simon Fraser University, I went and got a Bachelor of Arts degree, and it was really hard as a student. I remember going to the food bank, and I was raising a young daughter. My girl's 10 now, and I didn't have enough. So I think we need a student needs assessment. We need to increase the support for our students. And I believe that we also need to work on stewardship and protecting our lands, but also being courageous in seeking opportunities. I'd like to see the band office administration and communication updated. We need to streamline administration by hiring additional support staff to help band office operate more efficiently. The goal is to ensure that every phone call and every email is addressed and acknowledged. I'd like to see a user portal created for Zagime where we can submit our requests where they're blind so that we can reduce arbitrary decision-making and nepotism. I'd like to host online regular updates, information sessions, question and answer forums to meet members where they are. And I'd also like to see mental health and healing. We need to encourage a trauma-informed nation. I believe in somatic therapy. It's helped me get through my own trauma. And I believe that we need to offer regular mental health check-ins and debriefing circles for staff and community members. We need to integrate wellness into everyday operations, not just in crisis. And of course, urban membership opportunities. I think we need to have a band, we need a center in our communities where people can come and get resources and support. I'd like to create urban membership representation roles in key cities such as Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Calgary, and Vancouver to serve our community connectors and supports. We also need representation from urban voices in planning and program and governance conversations. I'd like to, again, thank you for the opportunity. It's an honor to be here, and I'm looking forward to working with our nation. I have a heart for it, and I'm here to work. It's important that we come with a good mind and a good heart, so, Shimigwech.